All right, looks like we're live. So, welcome back, everybody, to this week's safety brief. We made it through Exodus and made it to another Thursday. So awesome! For those of you who are back, welcome back, and for those of you who just arrived, welcome to the 316. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I'm the Operations Superintendent.
And I'm Sergeant Hoffman, one of your MTLs.
All right, so we are, as usual, right? We're the opening act for the commander and the chief, and we're here to give out some good information and answer a bunch of questions, hopefully. So we'll start with some information. I know you have some, Sergeant Offerman, so I'll let you go ahead and go first.
So first things first, just want to touch on COVID real quick. If you are feeling symptomatic, please tell someone. Don't just try to fight through it because COVID is a real thing. There's a lot of different variants out there now still. Vaccine still works, but maybe less symptomatic. If you feel anything, tell the MTLs, go see medical at sick call. Just please get seen. You and I are both not doctors, so let's let the professionals tell us.
Correct. Right. So if you're feeling something go on, right, it is not push through it. That is not the mantra that we talk about anymore, right? It is the fact that we need each of you to take ownership of how you're feeling because we can't necessarily say that and be honest with that. And if you're feeling not right, then you need to go and seek medical to figure out what's going on. Uh, so if you're not feeling well, guess what? We need you in healthy and ready to go. So we need you to seek medical attention and see what's going on. All right, call the nurse advice line. Go to sick call. So sick call is in the morning and at noon. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
So there's two times for sick call. Man, you guys are spoiled these days. Um, but right, those are wonderful opportunities to get out there and ensure right you're looking out for your fellow wingmen and yourself in that right. As Sergeant Offerman said, right, it's no joke. As you see, right, the cases continue to spike. Um, Tom Green County continues to rise. The amount of individuals that are new cases has just gone crazy compared to what it was. Really, since Thanksgiving, we saw an increase. It started to dip, and then it just did a dramatic, just sharp, steep rise of what it was. It was right down in the 50 to 60 range for new cases, and now we're like 400 and something, 500 in a day. So it is just dramatic. So with that being said, right, help us go back to right bringing that curve down. Yes, our symptoms are we do not have the amount of people that are really having crazy issues or massive complications with it, but that doesn't mean that it is not even more contractible and continue to spread and do its thing. So help us, right? Keep an eye on it. Help yourselves. Help your wingmen, and let's get healthy.
Definitely.
What else you got, sir?
So one thing to kind of skip over is welcome back from Exodus. Hope you all had a good time. Just a reminder, you are back on duty, so the rules they're applicable now, like they always were. So don't take the 12 days off and think that maybe I can try to break some rules and everything. The rules still apply. So please follow all the rules. Please continue to PT also, because I know back when I was an airman, I took some leave and everything, and didn't PT sometimes. It was hard PTing coming back. So make sure you're PTing because the assessments are still coming up. I think it's about third week of January, so we got 2 weeks till them, and hopefully you didn't lose a lot of your strength and your fitness and everything. So please stay doing PT.
Let's be honest. We all lost some. We all gained a little something here and there, right? Hopefully everybody was able to enjoy some food, some camaraderie, right? Seeking out whatever right that network is for you, that support network, getting some decompression time and de-stress. That's what Exodus is all about. It enables us to recharge both the students and the staff to come back, hit the ground running in the new year, and be ready to go. And by that means both figuratively and literally, right? Getting back out, getting running, getting back into those lifestyle changes that you signed up for as an airman. It's an awesome opportunity to get out and do it. What I will say though is obviously the weather continues to go up and down, right? So make sure that you're dressing appropriately while it's cool. People think they don't need to hydrate as much, but you still do when you're working out. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and looking out for yourself and others.
Yeah.
So, right, and the weather is absolutely insane. For those of you who are just getting to Goodfellow, as these cold fronts come in, it drops drastically in a day. And then you have 40-ish degree temperature ranges in every day after that, where it is pretty chilly at night. We will sometimes get into single digits here, frequently in the teens. Our nights get pretty chilly, right? We have that desert type timeline to where the weather, it gets cold and then it warms up during the day, which lends to people, right, with allergy issues and, right, people getting cold symptoms and runny noses, which leads back to, right, if you're feeling off, go get it checked out. It may be that, and that's great if that's all it is, right, I'm feeling a little under the weather because of the way the weather is, but we need to make sure that that's what's going on too.
Yes.
So, awesome. Man, I love PT times.
Oh, yeah.
It's good stuff.
He's amazing.
I keep hoping we're going to get back to where we can do it just like the way the military actually has done it in the past, right? I miss the times of getting out and PTing with all the students at once and going, and whether that's run a flight line, run the triangle around here, whatever it may be. I miss those opportunities. So I'm hoping that one day here soon we'll be able to get back into that. But right now, we still have to stay masked up. There is discussion about potentially going to even more stringent with that. We will let you guys know if and when that actually the decision is made on what to do with that. All those numbers are being looked at and it's being discussed. So there's probably some rumors going around on what that may or may not look like. Don't buy too much into rumors. Go and ask. Right? Go talk to your NTLs. Go talk to your student leaders. Right? Talk to your instructors. Bring that stuff up and let's work through it. Rumors tend to create more turmoil than they do actually benefit. All right. So some of the changes since we come back since this, right? We need to get back into the swing of PT, which is awesome, right? That builds our airmanship. We also get the joy of coming back to continuing normalization within our training environment. So for those of you who have been around, during our COVID times, you may have had less interaction with instructor timelines and different things going on. We are 100% back to an 8-hour training day. So what does that mean? Well, what that is that means that you are accountable for 8 hours of training every day. And that means schoolhouse type training. That doesn't mean physical training. That doesn't mean lunch times. That doesn't mean different meetings, different things. That's your class time. So for some of you, right, I'm sure I'm going to hear about, right, oh, my days are so long, things are going on, right? This is the standard to which the military has done for years and years and years, I promise. An 8-hour workday, which is what your training day is built around, is a standard function anywhere. So realize that as we go, right, those additional functions of being an airman sometimes go beyond what a standard day is, right? If you had signed up with a company to go and be a contractor somewhere, you just do your 8 hours and you'd be held to that minute of what's going on, and then you'd go off and you do what you're doing. We signed up to be airmen. That comes with additional conditions of employment to include physical training, right? So that's outside of what we do, but it is still a requirement for us to wear our uniforms. So please realize the fact that as you go through and you do these things, right, this is what we volunteered for. And I understand maybe some of you got swindled by a recruiter. It's been known to, I've heard stories about it, right? You didn't know fully what you were getting into. You were lied to, things occur. But being an airman, right, means that we're held to different standards, right? We're not civilians. We don't do those things. We're not contractors, and we do have some different standards that we have to adhere to. So sometimes our days tend to be a little longer. Although when our days are a little shorter, right? I don't hear complaints too much about that, at least from the individuals. But we don't have to necessarily, right, account for minute by minute the way some of our civilian counterparts do out in their workforce. So ours ebbs and flows with what we do. While you are in training, while you're TDY, it is kind of right, gas pedal is full throttle. It's time to get through it. And so yes, you end up with longer days, longer times. Things are going right, whether that's deployments, training, TDYs, things like that. That is gas pedal down, and you're working, you're earning that money. Once you're fully qualified and once things are going, you're going to find that you will end up with days here and there that are a little easier and a little quieter, right? And so it balances out. It really does. But right now, right, and I'm sure I'm still we're going to hear rumblings as time goes, but I wanted to address it early as we're kicking off this new year, right? Everybody should be hopefully recharged, refreshed. As students, you guys are here in the big picture short term, right? Keep that in mind. That's the reason it's gas pedal down. It is full throttle. It is moving constantly, right? With a lot to do, a lot packed in, and sometimes some longer days. That will transition, I promise. Get through this, right? Work through it. Keep that gas pedal down. Keep pressing. Keep pushing yourselves and those around you, and you'll get through it. And those additional timelines will show up. I mean, I've done this for a minute, right? I'm sure Sergeant Offerman has pretty good examples of that also, right? Doesn't matter your career field, doesn't matter in the military. That's just the way it goes. When you're in training, when you're TDY, when you're deployed, it full throttle all the time. Long days, it happens. But you will, as a military member, I promise, your time will level out. Yeah. All right. So, I still see people joining, which is awesome. Okay, so before, I think we still have a few minutes. I don't know if we do or not. I can't see the time. But we've been talking for a minute. What questions do you guys have, right? There's been lots of changes going on, lots of things popping up. Glad to see everybody getting back. I know there were a lot of delays due to weather and some of it due to COVID, and right, individuals not make. So we've been running around trying to keep track of where everybody's at. Do we have news on squadron patches? Actually, yeah, we do. Good question. See, I knew there would be at least one. So, squadron patches, we are currently, numbers are being collected. So, I can tell you the squadron patches are in, and we are collecting the numbers from the flights because they have, I think we gave them like 2 weeks to get their numbers together, and then that way we can allocate them out and get everything done. Everyone will receive a patch here soon, right? So your flight, the MTLs are taking student numbers. Our flights are getting those numbers together, and we will have those patches out here in the next few weeks. But you'll be able to talk to the MTLs and talk to your instructors. Dress and appearance AFI changes apply to trainees. Yes and no. Yes, right. AFI 36.93 does apply at all times to airmen across the board. However, at each location, your commander has the authority to tighten up different restrictions and different pieces to each instruction. So, for instance, right, ball caps are allowed, things like that. All that's finally out. All of that fun stuff. Yes, you can, right, talk on a cell phone, drink your water and different things, right, that type of things. However, right, that also still means customs and courtesy still apply, all of that. So, for your ball caps, we as a squadron are still not allowing that. And that is because not everyone has access to a ball cap. As a pipeline training organization, when those become available to everyone through approved sources, then we can look to do that. Right now, that's not the case, and therefore, right, there are still some changes within what is full up 36.903 and what is authorized within the 316 and kind of how that falls. If you have questions, MTLs, right? MTLs are great. Obviously, when you're marching back and forth in your groups and doing things, there's a whole lot of things that you can't do that is allowed, right? Obviously, you are not going to walk with your hands in your pockets. That's not how we march. Although, yes, you can talk on a cell phone now while you're walking or drink while you're walking. You're not going to be doing those things while you're marching, right? And so since to and from, that's what we have to do. There are some restrictions in how 36.903 is applied to trainees. So hope that answers that question. Patches include ASU airmen. So ASU airmen are still, you guys are TDY, you are not 316. That's an interesting piece to it, right? It's a money portion to what it goes. We will authorize you to purchase them through the booster club and wear them, right? So but we can't issue them to you guys because you are TDY to us and you are still allocated to Presidio, Monterey. So whichever that be, 311th, 314th. So you have that patch, but you will see the patches coming out in the booster club. So through the Shark Shack and Shark Bait Cafe, those will still be available for purchase after we get them allocated out. Are COVID boosters available to us? COVID boosters are available. So if you're seeking that, right, much like the initial one, you have the opportunity to use off-base facilities, or you can go to immunizations and have a conversation about that. But yes, COVID boosters are available. It is not a requirement at this point. So, right, that is something that is an individual opportunity at the moment. I saw something else. Wondering if you know when we'll be getting our assignments. What is that question? Can you scroll up, sir? And new PT alternatives apply to us in the future.
So yes, the MTLs are being trained with the PT standards. We are devising how we're going to be administering those tests and everything. So give us some time. Hopefully by the end of the month, we should be able to administer those tests and allow you to do those general hall assessments and all that stuff. So give us some time and we'll be good.
All right. So as a 1 in 4X2, okay, so I will go through the spiel when the commander gets here regarding all of that. So as far as 1 in 4's X2s, yes, there has been some frustrations within our computer systems through AFPC and other functions that the military specialty change, so your AFSC change, has created some difficulties in realigning because you guys as X2s, and if you were aligned, right, the billets haven't changed from 1 in 4 Bravos completely. So they can't mismatch it and trying to figure out how to work that. We're working through that. I will go through the whole spiel here shortly, right, about, right, if you're 30 days out and don't have an assignment. So I'm not sure where you're at in your block, but if you haven't received an assignment 30 days out from your graduation date, then yes, you'll need to go and do that. Where are we? Oh, okay. So you talked about the PT alternatives. So our 314th Airman. So you're asking because you're TDY. So that would be awesome. However, you're still marching with the 316th Airmen to and from. So while you are still TDY here and linked to us and marching with us, no, we are not doing ball caps. So ASU Airmen, no ball caps. And we will make sure that word is continued to be passed through Presidio Monterey, and I'll work with their SEL out there to make sure that is being passed to them prior to coming out here even.
and that will be outlined definitely in the policy guide. That's one thing I'm working on right now. It's a complete update to it. So hopefully by mid-month, our policy guide will be 100% up to date with all current policies and rules and regulations. So that's will answer your question.
And part of that is, like I said, you're marching with our students right across the board as you're here as a student of the 316. Uniformity of pipeline students, this is the way it is. And so therefore, like I said, since all of the members can't do it, we're not going to do it. Any update for those of us who are waiting a religious accommodation for COVID vaccination? All of those are outside of our hands. Everything is outside. We haven't seen it come back. Last I heard, everything was still with the MAGCOM or with AFPC. So as soon as we start getting religious accommodations back, we'll have a better answer. But right now, I don't have that. We're awaiting the updates and approvals, disapprovals, just like you guys. So continue to be patient. We continue to ask the questions also. We don't want people hung up here any longer than you guys want to be here. So we understand the frustrations with that, and we're going to continue to push to get an answer as soon as they can provide one. Okay. Wow. See, I asked for some good questions, and I got some good questions. I like it, so thank y'all. Well, I mean, they had a few weeks to build up some questions, so I like it. All right. If there's nothing else at the moment, which I'll give it a couple of seconds, and then we'll depart. Well, I say that, but you guys are actually stuck with me. All right. Nothing seen or heard? All right. Stand by for the commander.
You ready, sir? Scoot over one.
I'm going to scoot over one.
Just like that.
Just like this. Whole new identity on another side of the screen.
Happy Thursday, Sharks and TDY Sharks. All the Sharks.
All Sharks.
I am Lieutenant Colonel E.J. Mason, your squadron commander of the 316 Sharks, the best training squadron in AATC.
I would agree with that, sir. We're also one of the best squadrons in the Air Force, but we'll talk more about that later. So I am Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I introduced myself earlier. I am filling in on this portion for Chief Gill. Because as we talked about earlier on, right, when you're feeling bad, you don't do these things. So Chief was feeling under the weather. She's doing what she needs to do, and she is not here trying to spread that stuff.
Okay, this portion of the brief is where we talk about trends, safety items, key emphasis things that the wing commander has talked to me about that I want to make sure we're tracking right now. So luckily, this will be short because we don't have a lot of items that came down from the wing. The things I do want to talk about are, over the break, I want to say outstanding job in staying out of our negative reporting for the Sharks. You guys went all over the place. You went to see your families. I didn't get reporting back that we had any issues. So you were the professionals that I knew you could be, which always is good for me to hear back. And also it's what I take into account as we look at what liberties the squadron can do. Chief and Senior brought up the hat issue. I heard us talk about again. We had a commander's call where I talked to you about that. I know a lot of you are new, a lot of new faces, which is why we introduce ourselves each time. My one requirement for the hat is that come to me when every Shark has a hat. When everyone has a ball cap across the board and can go in formation and be in our areas with the hats, lottie-dottie, every Shark at a time, that's when we can switch the hats. Because, again, in my 6 months of being a commander here, what sets the Sharks apart, our uniformity, our professionalism, the things that are different from us in the other squadrons, the wing commander recognizes that, the 2nd Air Force commander recognizes that, every DV that comes here recognizes, hey, those guys with the yellow belts on, those must be the Sharks because we've already heard about you. So that's a reflection on you. That's not a reflection on me. That's a reflection on you of what great airmen that you are. So I'd like to keep that going.
I mean, let's be honest, sir. I mean, when Chief Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Bass came down, we're the only squadron that did any operational discussion or briefing regarding what our airmen are doing. Right.
Yeah. So for the people who hadn't been here quite frequently, for the distinguished visitors who come here, The 316th has been the only operational training squad, and it's been highlighted multiple times from SES, from general officers, and from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. That's not an accident. So I get it. It seems like we're tight on a couple of places, but again, the trade-off is that the product that we're putting out there, you guys can go anywhere in the world and get right to mission, and they know that. All right. So I know a little thing like a hat seems like a little thing, but it's actually part of a bigger thing. So if you guys are enterprising and you can get hats for everybody, and you come to me with that, then that's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's a discussion point.
Yep. So good job not getting in trouble. The hats I just talked about, COVID. So we can't have a meeting without talking about COVID. I know this probably came up in some of the previous meetings, but the wing is changing its guidelines right now, right? And I know a lot of people are sick. I know a lot of people probably got exposed to COVID over the vacation. So you know some of your vacations were cut short because you got sick, and some of you are feeling the symptoms since you've been back. And the guidance is not exactly clear on what we're doing all the time, right? We've got some unvaccinated people. We got testing kits. We got the med group that's not necessarily taking all the people in at sick call and not working with the hours on that. So I just ask for a little bit of patience because a lot of these discussions we had before the break, and we thought we had a plan for it, and the med group and the training group and the mission support group aren't exactly working together on all these things. So like we said before you left, if you're sick, you need to isolate. You need to get tested. You need to let the MTLs know what's going on with you, so we can figure out what A, how to take care of you, B, how we're going to change your training to make sure that you get everything taken care of, and C, we want to affect the fewest amount of people, your partners, take care of those people and not get those people affected. So the numbers for San Angelo, Texas went from about 20 a day at the end of November to about 200 a day right before Christmas, and I think we're over 500 now for the last 72 hours a day. So even in this local rural area, the numbers are going up, and the East Coast is even worse with people going home.
And usually we have a delay, so it's interesting in this aspect, in the fact that normally this region has a delay in the way that we spike. We're not seeing that, and I think part of that is because it's specifically around the holidays, right? It's not just the military that does this, but across, right, all of us, we all head home for holidays. Well, when we do that, and we start getting together and doing these larger gatherings, and we go across and go visit everybody, it's what we're seeing across it. So we're not in a delay this time.
Right.
We're in the same surge as the vast majority of the country.
And let's be realistic. The numbers are probably going to go up even more than what we see right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, and then it does not help that this is at the same time flu season, colds, pneumonia, all these other things that people you're not even sure what you have, right? But that's what we're dealing with right now. But just like we always do, we will come up with the ways to mitigate it, and we'll figure it out. But I want to do that as safely as possible. Those are the only three things I really wanted to talk about. What are the questions, or Chief, position, is there anything else you wanted to hit?
Well, sir, I always have to cover the same thing that Chief would cover, right? And I already got one question about an assignment. But if you do not have an assignment 30 days out from your graduation date, you need to go to see an MTL or a GLM and let them know what your situation is. If you are less than 2 weeks out and you don't have orders from your graduation date, if you don't have orders within 2 weeks of your graduation date, go to a GLM and an MTL. We need to start kind of pinging MPF on kind of what the holdup is and see if there are obstacles. If you are about to graduate and you're in that last week, you need to go immediately and talk to an MTL or a GLM. They will elevate that to Chief and I to ensure that we're reaching out to MPF and potentially AFPC to get you out of here as quickly as possible. Not that we don't like you guys, but we want you to get out in the field and do what you're being trained to do. We know that's the reason you actually signed up. So help us with that, right? There's a lot of you as you pass through the school, and we try to do our best. But make sure that if you do not look like those around you, if you don't have something that the rest of your class has, that you are becoming vocal about that and letting someone know. Let a GLM know, let an MTL know, let your instructor know, so that we can ensure that you didn't fall through a crack or something go on. Like I said, we are already tracking the fact that the 1 in 4X2s are running into some issues because their new AFSC doesn't align with the billets that are available, and so they can't be placed into those yet. That is an AFPC and big Air Force problem that is being worked. But we will work it and we can kind of force that issue a little more for individuals as it's going. So, like I said, the timeline is 30 days. It's all from your graduation date, right? Back it up from there. 30 days out for an assignment to know where you're going. 2 weeks out for orders to where you're printed off and good to go. And then at a week, you really need to come in and have that conversation if it hasn't happened by then. But all of that to be said, you have to do your part also. It's not just on us. So make sure you're taking care of your medical, right? If you have children or a civilian spouse, you have to make sure you complete the EFMP process to get that taken care of. If you have other requirements, depending on where you're going, whether that be CADM or whether that be whatever, immunizations, all the fun that goes with some of our different destinations, those are on you to complete. If I have to call and they come back and go, they haven't done that, I'm probably going to call you in and ask you why you haven't been doing these things, and now I have to deal with, right, having the 316 kind of get a black eye for not handling our business internally.
Like that.
I don't like to do that, right? Normally when I call, I'm able to make some things occur because I have all my ducks in a row, and I get to poke people in the eye instead of get poked. So help us help yourselves by knocking out all that stuff. If you have questions about any of that, once again, GLMs, MTLs, well versed in it. Typically, that's my first point of contact anyway. When somebody comes and asks, I call them and I say, "Hey, what is their status? Where were you at on it?" And they're going to tell me, "Hey, I have an obstacle here that I have not been able to get through in the last week," or whatever it may be. And that's when the chief and I will engage and get things moving. But if you don't give them that opportunity and you don't do what you need to do, our hands kind of get tied on that one. So,
how many people out there on the bus right now going back to ASU?
So
how's the reception out there?
There's going to be quite a few that are doing that. I talked with them also on that because they're just getting on the bus at 5 and traveling. So they also have a requirement now that they have to watch it afterwards if not. So we're going to work a new processor where they are able to submit some questions ahead of time to where we can ensure, right, if there's something pressing, something that's going on, that gets pushed up to us. And it's not a bad idea anyway, so that we now have some things going.
Sakura just made it home. Okay.
I like it.
Excellent.
Okay. I see a question up there.
Take weekend 4392 at this time.
So right now, we've already been talking about the rise in COVID cases and what's going on and where we're at. We obviously, the commander and I have not had this discussion because you just asked the question. My recommendation right now is going to be based on the extenuating factors that we've already discussed, on the fact that right now it's just not a good time to be able to kind of just go and go. We need to lock down for a little bit, get everything back in order, and then we can look to expand out for 4392s and look to go into a wider area. We don't want to infect our local populace in our community. We have a great partnership with them. We sent people out all over the country and around the world for Exodus. I don't want to be the reason that they're getting that either here or right San Antonio, Austin. That's not the right partnership. So my recommendation, this is the commander's decision. I'm filling in for the chief. But
my guess is my recommendation is probably your recommendation is probably going to be in line with what the wings guidance is. And the wings guidance right now, what I'm hearing from Colonel Rauman, my boss, is that there's going to be more restrictions come back that's closer to what we were in October than where we are now. Mask and travel, right? I don't know what those restrictions look like yet, but those are coming very soon. I think he's just weighing that based on what our numbers look like right now. And again, what the Ford looking for, if there's going to be a rise in the next quarter, over the quarter, we'll see. But that's going to be an easy one because that's going to be directed.
And that's the thing. So we understand that right now, right, that it hasn't fully come out, right? As we said, right, we're awaiting the final decision. As I discussed earlier, right, it's a discussion that's ongoing right now to figure out what that is going to look like for us. But I don't see 4392s coming into play right now. At the same time, right, that's part of right Exodus, and we allowed everybody to go out and go do. We did anticipate that this was going to be a consequence from doing all of that. But right, we felt right well-being of the airmen, right, all the fun things looking out for you guys also, right, sanity,
96% vaccination rate.
right, our vaccination rates are good, right, so our level of risk as far as that went wasn't crazy. However, with the increase in transmission and what's going on, and it's not just us, even though the military vaccination rate is actually pretty high. Outside in our communities where you're going to travel on 4392 on a weekend. Texas, I love Texas. However, right, they do not have the same level of belief in the vaccine right now. And it may not be just a belief, right? But part of that is, right, they have not taken action on actually getting the vaccine to the level that is safe for us to go out and just kind of goof around in. So I think as Colonel Rahman looks at it, as everything kind of goes, I understand that right now. So as of today, sir, it is your call based off of phase guidance and things like that. We have not been doing it. We didn't do it prior to Exodus. We did it for Thanksgiving, and we did it for Exodus. Other than those options, we have not done weekend 4392s. I hope we're going to get there. As I said earlier, right? I hope I get to go out and PT with the entire squadron again and go out with all the students. We're not there right now. And so I know right now the bosses, right, the commander's order still stands from prior to Exodus that we are not going down that road.
And this is as a commander, this is something I learned earlier. There's sometimes when you don't have to make a decision. This is one of those times where the order is already set. We don't have to make a decision right now because we can wait to see what the environment's going to be. And it's cold out there anyway.
It is. Tonight's going to be chilly, right? I talked earlier about the weather, right? And the ups and downs and the way it comes in quick, and then we get really cold for a couple of nights, and then there's like a 40 or 50 degree difference in the daytime temp. And that's why people start feeling bad.
It would be really nice to have a decreased COVID spring in Texas. You know, where we can get back to what the normalcy looked like in 2019 and early 2020. But we'll see.
That'd be crazy.
What we got? Any other questions?
All right. Other questions?
Worked out on the bus, looks like.
We're working on it, sir. Like I said, so I was talking with DOB specifically with the flight for the CLAs, and coming up with a way to ensure everybody's questions are going to come forward and what's going on, because we weren't sure how it was going to work out. And we can institute it across the board, right? Once again, right, if you guys have questions, if you have something, I can work with the MTLs, right, to get those and the GLMs to consolidate questions throughout the day, whether it's through Discord or whatever. And, right, we can come in potentially, right, depending on the question, if we have to do some research, it gives us the ability to actually come in potentially with a more informed answer than what we have to kind of shoot from the hip on it.
Grace Martin, that's your question. Would be required to get a booster vaccine for the COVID, a booster shot for the COVID vaccine? The answer right now is no. There's no requirement for DOD to get a booster by policy or directive. The only requirement is the series to be complete, 2 shots to Moderna, 1 shot to Johnson & Johnson, or 2 shots to Pfizer. The boosters are highly recommended, but not required. That policy, I mean, that's coming. We ain't there yet.
Yeah, if you were with us a little earlier, right, I had a question regarding religious accommodations and where they're at, right, and we kind of touched on some of that. Until we get through this first round, because we're still not through that, right? As I said, we're still waiting on our exemptions, approvals, or disapprovals, right?
Boosters.
We're
down there.
Yeah. Until we get through the first round, I would say DoD and Air Force are not in the mode to mandate another round.
No.
Now, is it coming? If I was a betting person, I'd say, will we be at some point?
It's going to be just like another.
At some
shot on
point,
your card.
it probably will be. And depending on where you're going, right? So depending on where you're stationed, it may be one of the requirements, same as, right, our immunizations and things like that could be for different places.
Yes, you could acquire the booster shot at the Ross Clinic, and you can get it off base as well. I got mine off base with an easy appointment at Shannon. However, the base does have supplies of boosters. Now, you'll have to be completely vaccinated and vaccinated for over 6 months before you fall into the category where you could receive a booster. That's who it's saved for. And they'll have some questions about your current health, like have you shown any signs of COVID infection or other things that just like basically are making sure that you're healthy enough to take the booster on at that time. But if you've been vaccinated for more than 6 months, you fall into a category where you can go request a booster. And we have them on hand.
Yeah, good question.
Grace Martin.
Again.
Grace, what's your AFC? Just like me. 1 and 2. Yeah, we're 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think so.
You're smart. Yeah. 1, 2, Charlie. Flex. Okay.
You see people don't count.
You got it all up here. All right. Well, cool.
All right. Well,
Everybody's getting back. It's their first one back. They actually asked today if we were doing that in-person commander's call because it wasn't exactly sure what we're doing. So,
I liked, so for those of you who were not here prior to Exodus, our last safety brief was done in person, right? For those of you who are here prior to, you got to see it, right? We didn't get a lot of feedback, positive or negative, in that. I did get some from our staff who said, right, there was actually good things in that.
earlier in the day.
Or a little earlier in the day,
Okay.
but there are, as we're now transitioning back to that 8-hour training day, right? What I will say is that wouldn't be part of your training day, right? These are the additional requirements as an airman, because not all of our classes are Air Force only. So when I adjust that class, and we did it beforehand, and we did it at 1 o'clock, that's not part of your class time. So your class time just got extended. So right. It has lots of ramifications by doing it that way, but I did really like the in-person contact, getting to see everybody come together, right, and kind of going down that road. It did not necessarily facilitate the level of questions that we can receive from here, though.
Right. We'll look to do it as we can from time to time.
Oh, so what is that, a 5 India, what?
Space Force.
So in the 1 and 2 Charlie course, but that's not that Space Force specialty code.
So Grace Martin is a 1 and 2 Charlie because I asked her what her AFC was in the Space Force. Oh, but she's no longer 1 and 2
That's
Charlie.
what I'm saying, sir.
She is
Is it a 5 India something?
I think the rest is the same. We can work it out.
Will there be any potential incentives for airmen with boosters to have less stringent mask requirement or not be required to wear them? I do not see that happening. The wing commander is fairly clear because if you weren't here before, Goodfellow was actually more restrictive than the other ATC bases. So as other bases were going to the no mask outside and then no mask in facilities, we stayed with masks the whole time. So I think we'll be more like what we're doing in October, even for vaccinated people, to where you'll have to wear a mask outside and the requirement to wear a mask off base, which is really hard to enforce, but we do it, is something that he's looking at bringing back. And I don't think it'll be very long before we get the guidance on that. including airmen who were fully vaccinated with boosters. Because I think it's proven that you actually can get a breakthrough case and still catch it or pass it. Cervantes, that's a good question. Like the meetings that we have with Dwayne, where they show the decision logic on are we wear a mask or not. He's looking at a couple of things. He's looking at the vaccination rate for us for the wing, which was good. He also was looking at the number of daily cases, right? And even when we were at 25 to 30 daily cases, and the math on us, what the threat is. So imagine that jumping to 500 cases. So it is very unlikely that we're going to switch to a no mask requirement. And there's other moving pieces to that too, but good question. I saw in DC at the Pentagon to where these masks are also not going to be a cloth mask, are not going to be a recognized mask, to where only the N95, if you're on joint staff or the POTUS staff, those are the only masks that you can wear. So they're like, maybe these cloth masks aren't as effective as we want them to be. So if you're going to go brief the president, you're going to go brief the secretary, you're going to brief the chief of staff and those people, they're going to be an N95 only. That's the only type mask they're going to take. Don't think we're headed there at our level, but that tells you what the thinking is about the mask. So no mask is not even in the discussion.
Okay. Sweet. I guess we'll give it another minute and see.
Yep. Yeah, so best job in the world, sitting here as a squadron commander of 316 Sharks. I have no problem getting motivated to get up and go to work every day. When I see you guys in the morning when I'm dropping off my kids at school and I see the yellow belts and they're like, Dad, there goes the Sharks, or I see you after work,
by the way, don't get scared when his kids yell out the window, go Sharks or something, right? Some form of encouragement towards Sharks. They love doing it. You're obviously not going to control kids to that level that you can stop that. So, right.
They love Sharks. They're if they could get tattoos, they'd have little sharks on them right now. So we're not allowed to do that. But it is my honor and my pleasure to lead this squadron. So as we transition back to training, had a long break off. We had a good break off. Now let's go ahead and focus on the way ahead. With the new PT standards for Air Force in January, will Space Force students be able to use all options as well? I don't think so, but I got the PT guru with me.
As far as where they PT guys, I'm assuming no stand. But can they do the new options for PT?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah. So the information I'm getting, and I'm betting that it's pretty accurate, is the Space Force will continue with the Air Force's current test, the 3-event test, and will not be eligible to take the 5-event test. But I also know who to ask on that. Take it for funsies. Which test you take?
Me, sir?
Yeah.
I've been doing this run PT, this push-ups and sit-ups way too long. They want to change that up now. Besides that, in all honesty, we were lucky enough to be one of the organizations that did the most data points for this when they did the initial testing. It was not significantly better to opt for those based on that's not the way we normally train. So what I'll say is, right, if you were looking to do the newer options within that PT test, make sure you're training to meet that, right? As we continue to adjust our PT, it's still going to focus around, right, the vast majority are still anticipated to take the standard test, or the original standard test. So our PT sessions probably are not going to change a whole lot. We've always done some type of sprint training, right, periodically. It's not something we do real often. So if you're looking to do hammer runs, the hammer shuttle, good luck. Doing 80 of those, yeah. If you got it, you got it. But if you're training to in the standard of maintaining your PT within Air Force PT standards, our PT is set up for the 1.5-mile run, and then push-ups and sit-ups. Also think about your options. I mean, everybody makes their own choice, but if you still got to do a version of push-up, and if you're going to try and do your core as planks, that's a long time to have a rigid body. So me personally, sir, I'm going to stick to what I've been. I can't say I've trained for it my whole career, because I've been in long enough that I did bike tests.
Wow.
I did the ergonomic bicycle test. So yeah. However, what I will say is back then, when I was in tech school here, my PT test was 2 miles.
Wow.
So much like right now, our AETC standards have varied compared to Air Force standards, which is being looked at, and we're looking at trying to align that better to Air Force. The AETC standards, when I came through, was a 2-mile run for our monthly PT test. When I was
because if you can run 2, of course you can run 1.
Well, if I could run 2, I could ride a bike when I got out in the Air Force, which didn't help me ride a bike. But I digress. Sorry. Are there channels we can use to raise feedback about leadership decisions or airman issues besides chain of command?
Yes.
Absolutely. We have lots of opportunities to discuss feedback regarding different decisions and what's going on. If you, depending on what level of chain of command you're talking about and things like that, right? Every building that the 316th owns and operates has a little yellow box somewhere near the entrance or within its little spaces. I know out at ASU it's sitting closer to the GLM office, not at the entrance. But we have little yellow boxes that are anonymous feedback. The only people who hold keys to that are myself and the DO. So Major Barella. We're the ones who check that. We check it at least weekly across all of our different buildings to go and see what's going on. So that's one option for anonymous style feedback. You have first sergeants who are technically outside of your chain of command that you can go and talk to at any time. Right. So if you're not comfortable going to your MTL, GLM instructor, a flight chief, an NCO, a senior NCO, depending on what you're trying to actually escalate, right? There are also, everything up to and including, external base resources and organizations that you can go and talk to, depending on the type of concern to which you are trying to bring up.
And you always got the IG, which is outside of.
That's kind of what I was referring to. But I don't just say IG, because IG looks at certain functions, but you also have MEO, right? For equal opportunity.
Yep.
So you have that, right? So that's the reason I said we have lots of base organizations and resources, support resources that will help do that, depending on the type of concern that you have. And if you have questions about kind of, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking, reach out. Happy to have a conversation. We can, if you're not comfortable talking with myself or with a first sergeant or with chief or with the DO or
Squadron chaplain.
Right? Yeah, we have a chaplain that's aligned to it. We have inflex, depending on what's going on, right? If you have something going on in your life, you just need to talk to someone. But if you're looking to escalate concerns about the feedback about leadership decisions, right? What level of leadership, outside of your chain of command is an interesting one. Obviously, if you're looking to kind of really kind of shape that leadership decision, that's kind of what a chain of command is there for, because you go talk to the supervisor or the supervisor if you need to. It's designed that way. But if you're not comfortable doing that, we have lots of resources to do that.
Will we be able to see demos for the optional workouts before the assessment? Yes.
It'd be just like a normal PT test. We'd be given a demo of the workout.
Yeah, just exactly like the normal PT test, and like the normal events are demoed by a tester or a demonstrator. The same thing will be happening for the new events as well. With the increase of COVID-19 cases, will we still be required to march in groups of 6 or more as masks are not required outside? Masks are not required outside today. That's an empty question.
So unless the guidance says specifically like minimize like groups,
Right.
then we're still marching together.
Correct. No guidance yet from the wing saying minimize groups, and no guidance yet saying wear mask outside. So,
And right, that's with that once again, right? This is differences in our organizations also, right? So you're asking about, right? So Specialist Martin's asking about the 316th marching in groups of 6 or more. 315th is still marching in mass formations every morning. They march right down the troop walk at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're usually at their building by about 7:10. In mass formations, one after another.
good.
So if you are, right, as with everything, right, everybody's still required to carry their mask. If you're uncomfortable and you feel that, right, say something, right, that there's no harm in, right, putting your mask on and doing that, right. Right now, the actual, right, the order on this base is that outside, right, you're good. However, that may change. But you can still put your mask on whenever you want. That's an easy one.
I don't think anybody's ever going to stop you.
No.
Sweet. Well, cool. Good questions. Good discussion.
Absolutely.
I guess you guys made it home safe. Everybody's back safe and training. We still got a few stragglers.
We have a couple of stragglers still out, sir, right, due to weather, right? The Northeast got hammered, right as everybody was trying to get back. So, right, when I talked about some of that operational downtime you get, right, some of our counterparts have had multiple snow days and late starts recently. So, right, as much as we don't like the longer hours we sometimes have to pull in a training environment or a TDY or deployment environment, those are short-lived in our careers, and you'll get some downtime here and there. But yeah, everybody is surviving the best they can, and trying to get healthy again is what it seems. Cool. So once again, welcome everybody back. Right, for those who are getting back, thanks for letting us take some time. Thanks for all the great questions. It was awesome. And only other thing I have is Chief's little thing, which is don't jack it up.
Please don't. Have a good weekend.